Welcome to Storytellers, the podcast where we hear the tales and journeys of inspiring members and supporters of NSA Houston. I'm your host, Beth Rohani, and here everyone has a unique story. So let's get nice and cozy as we spotlight our next storyteller. I'm excited to introduce Cheryl Knowlton, CSP, with a top-rated podcast, 3 books, and the mantra, command the stage, elevate your destiny. She's a true leader. Join us as we explore Cheryl's journey filled with empowerment, leadership, and the magic of life. So let's start from the very beginning. Who's Cheryl? Kind of tell me a little bit about your past and what were some of the triumphs that you had to overcome to shape your journey as a professional? And I know in your case, you're a certified speaking professional, which is a designation that I'd love to hear more about too.
My personal journey is actually has most recently, as of last night, been described as, oh my gosh, that should be a movie, but it's too traumatic to be Hallmark. I was born in California in the Bay Area in the late 60s to 2 teenagers who could not get married. My beautiful adopted parents had been trying for 13 years to have me before they were finally able to adopt me. I was their only child, and for 4.5 magical years, life was absolutely perfect and incredible and wonderful. And Copernicus called and verified that I am the very center of the universe, or at least I was at that point in time. My parents were in the process of trying to begin the process of adopting a little boy when my beautiful angel mother became one herself, and she died very suddenly from a brain tumor that took her from us and devastated my poor dad. He did not sign up for this. He didn't know how to think or feel or be or do. And, you know, to live without his sweetheart and to be a single parent, that was not what he would, that was not in the cards. And he, bless his heart, he would tell you the same thing if he were here right now. He started dating really early, and he started going to groups of parents without partners and dated a lot of interesting, and some were really terrific women, all of whom had children. And ultimately, that's not who he settled on. He married a woman who detested children, didn't announce that until after the nuptials, rather inconvenient for me. And she decided that her first order of business was to invite my dad to send me back to the adoption agency like I was a puppy that didn't work out. And he said, absolutely not, we're not doing that. And she tried a couple other avenues, and what wound up happening was that I wound up living with another family for 9.5 years during the week. I would come home on weekends and holidays, and it was like split custody, and I was living a split life because I was an only child on the weekends and on holidays, and I was a middle child during the week. And so I really got to live a both and life. I didn't see it that way at the time. It took many, many, many decades later and a lot of therapy to recognize I really, truly did get to have it all. I got to experience a lot of different aspects of life that most people don't get to experience. Came home to live with my dad and my stepmom after my dad took early retirement from the federal government, and my life really began. From a personality standpoint, I feel like I was a certain way for the first 4.5 years. Then I had to be someone else. I put on my first mask. I need to take care of my dad. I need to make him peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to take to the Department of Energy to go to work every day. And then I needed to become someone else, and really had some very challenging, many, many moments of challenge and heartache with my stepmom, and becoming a people pleaser in order to try to get her to like me. Still a recovering people pleaser in many aspects. And now I just have tremendous awareness around it and try to combat it and recognize it in every way that I can. I got married early. I was the smartest 18-year-old in the world, and I've always done everything backwards. Got accepted to college, moved to Utah from California, got married, and then started my freshman year of my college experience 2 weeks later.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we had 4 beautiful girls. And they're all absolutely incredible humans. I love and admire and respect every single one of my daughters and look up to them. They're all married. They all have children. And they just watching them raise my granddaughters is the greatest joy of my entire life.
I love the fact that it's so generational now, and what you went through your childhood and growing up, you've been able to just reinvent for yourself and create that legacy for yourself in a way that's impactful. It's not necessarily one where you used it as an excuse for why you didn't achieve certain things, but you used it as something to empower you. And what you said is you were a very lucky person because you got to experience so many different elements that it created who you are as a person. And that defines the story.
My greatest triumph is that after 14 and a half years of being married to a man with bipolar disorder, the father of my children, and very, very, very abusive relationship, I finally had the courage to leave. And of all the things that I have achieved professionally, that is probably my greatest achievement, because it took more courage than I believed that I had in order to do that and to finally say enough, I'm done, and to walk away. And then I got to meet my sweetheart 8 months later, and 6 months after we met, I married my Prince Charming, and we just celebrated, I think today, what is today? Today is the 22nd anniversary of our first date. So yeah, we need to go celebrate that.
Yeah, well, it's actually good that there was a reminder for you, because those moments are so super special. And I can feel exactly what you felt whenever you said that was one of the biggest obstacles that you had to overcome, because I think as females, we have the tendency to feel the codependency in the relationships, especially if they are abusive, in terms of if there's like narcissism and manipulation and those types of things, where, you question your own abilities, you question your own strengths, and are you capable of doing things in life without that person? And when you find out that you have the ability to do it and prove it to yourself, is such an empowering moment for you. And I'm sure a huge growing experience.
Absolutely. Growing pains are a real thing for sure.
And that definitely helps shape us as people, as women. And I even believe that overcoming those challenges end up leading to the path of success. And so besides all of the elements that we just kind of touched on, is there one significant moment? And I know you've shared Disney and some of the other things that you've done, but what was something that you encountered and you navigated through it, and as a result, you overcame that challenge to, where you are career-wise?
One of my dad's colleagues suggested to him after the death of my mother that he take me to Disneyland, that it would become a place of healing for both of us. And I really don't remember a whole lot about that trip when I was 5, but he took me every 3 years until I graduated from high school. And even then, when my ex-husband graduated from Brigham Young University with his bachelor's degree, that's where we went to celebrate. And it just became this benchmark of magic. And when my year as president of our National Speakers Association chapter, the Mountain West chapter last year, that was my theme, is team. It's an acronym team. I love acronyms. I will bring acronyms when I come and see you in September. But for me, that stood for Together, Everyone Achieves Magic. And I really believe that in the power of collaboration, proximity is power. Who we hang out with matters, which is one of the things I love so much about my National Speakers Association family, is I am where I am, and I have become who I have become personally and professionally because of these incredible humans. And I'm just so lucky to be able to consider them my friend.
I'm definitely not seasoned, but
you will be
eventually, yes. But in the short period of time, the amount of support that you've received and just this connections that you've made and the camaraderie. I think it's definitely something that's very valuable, and we'll get a little bit later on into memberships because, you know, we want to know what the value is that our members get. And maybe even if we want to touch on it right now, since we're already on it, I mean, as a member, what did you gain as a newcomer when you first came in, and what were the things that you got to experience that helped elevate your career?
Let's talk about that. I'm so glad you asked, because in my past, looking back on my hero's journey, I was what I lovingly refer to as an idiot. I was absolutely an idiot. And if anyone within the sound of my voice can do it differently and learn from my mistakes, hallelujah. And how my journey with NSA started, I was the president of the Women's Council of Realtors. Real estate was my path and my niche for many years. And I found myself thrust into that role 8 months sooner than I had anticipated. And I needed to hire a speaker right away. And I wanted a speaker on personality. And I went on and I searched for personality speakers in my area. And there was this beautiful photo of this beautiful woman and this beautiful seal, national member of the National Speakers Association. And ding, in my mind, my wanter went off. And I said, someday I'm going to be a member of that association someday. And I had never spoken professionally, really. I mean, I had done some continuing education courses, but not there. But the dream was born, the desire was born. And so I got to that point 2 years later, and I joined as a professional member. The rules have changed. And so you used to be able to have to prove it, that you had done X number of speaking events and been paid for it. And so I joined as a professional member in the very beginning of 2010. And I found out there was a local chapter. I'm like, sweet. So I joined the local chapter, and I was a great big flat tire when it came to my local chapter. I didn't attend regularly. I didn't plan my speaking events that I did have control over around the meetings. I didn't volunteer. I didn't say yes. I didn't raise my hand. I didn't get involved. But obviously, Beth, you already have done that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So good on you that you've done that. And for everyone else listening, get involved. My attendance was extremely inconsistent, but I definitely really developed my speaking business. And I had a mentor and friend who was very active in another part of the country, and she earned her CSP. And so I said, I want to be her when I grow up, and therefore I want that, both the good and the bad. And I said, yes, I want that. And I started putting together my spreadsheets of 50 events per year and making sure that I'd earned $50,000 in a year. And okay, we've got a year, and then building 5 of those. I call those silos, 5 of those silos. And one of the required criteria for submitting for the class, because every certified speaking professional class, it happens once a year. And back to your other question about what it takes to earn a CSP, that is the minimum. That is the minimum in order to count it as a year, is a minimum of 50 events and a minimum of $50,000 in a year. And you need 5 of those in a rolling look back of 10 years. I found out, okay, part of the checklist, I've done the hard part. Now I have to go to a national meeting, and I have to attend specific courses in order to apply. And I grumbled and mumbled about that. And I wrote a really big check, you know, the equivalent of a check. We don't use checks anymore. And I went to my first influence. The National Speakers Association every year has an annual convention, huge annual global convention called Influence, and it's in the summer. And my first one was in 2018, and it was in Dallas, Texas. And that event absolutely changed my life. I met people who told me, oh, we're having a local chapter dinner. You're part of our chapter. You should come. And those people were so lovely and gracious and giving and incredibly generous of spirit and abundant minded that I said, I'm going to do it differently from now on. I'm going to start coming. I'm going to make it a priority. I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to say yes. And that led to running for the board and winning that. And then for our chapter, it's a 6-year commitment to be president And I said yes to that. And I am now sitting in that 6th and final seat as the most recent past president of our chapter. And I have learned, what I love about NSA is it hijacks the learning curve for anything you want to know and do in a business where you're going to become an eloquent orator and get paid for it. There's nothing you can't learn from someone in our greater NSA community who can help you take that next step so that you can go where you want to go and be who you want to be. If you want to be Mel Robbins or Tony Robbins or anybody, and your last name doesn't have to start with Robbins. You can decide you want to be anybody you want to be, and the path is there and the people are there to support you in doing that. I've never met another group of professionals who are so abundant minded and will literally throw up all over you all the secrets to their success, and do it with no fear that you're going to steal an idea. That's just not how this industry works. And I love that.
Very much. Have you been through the Speakers Academy yet?
Our chapter president at that time, Rob Foray, many people know Rob, and he was our MC for Influence last year. He asked me, he said, hey, I think you would be an amazing dean of our Speakers Academy. And I said, I'd love to. What Speakers Academy? I like the total set, go, ready of that has been my whole life. And I said yes to Speakers Academy, not having ever been through it. And now I have been the dean twice. I'm getting ready to do it a 3rd time. And I have been asked to be the dean of the Speakers Academy for our chapter. And I quote, until I die. So yeah, I love a Speakers Academy. It's Speakers Academy that really helped me to see in myself how much I love helping new and aspiring speakers to find and own their voice, to create that safe playground and sandbox where they can explore the boundaries of who they never thought they could become. Absolutely magical.
Wonderful. That is definitely inspirational. We just launched our Speakers Academy for Houston, and we have Mike Lejeune and Eric Aroka, who will be instructing it. And we have so many new things planned for this year that I am thrilled about. And we use different associations and chapters like yours as, someone or some groups that we look up to. And, essentially, I think it's a collaboration of different groups and different mindsets, but all still in line with the same mission, vision, and purpose. Going back to the network, the support that you can surround yourself with ultimately helps determine your path. And one of the things, when I first became a member of NSA, I said, I'm not expecting you guys to tell me what I need to do, how I need to give a speech, what I need to do to start a business. I need to be around people who are seasoned, who have gone through the growing pains, and not have me create the wheel, but reinvent the wheel as it's supposed to be for me. Because the genuineness, the authenticity, all of that is so important to resonate in storytelling and connecting with your audience. And I know in your case, you use Ignite, and your topic coming up on September 15th is Ignite Your Speaking Business, Command Your Stage, and Elevate Your Destiny. So tell me, what does that mean? And what are we going to expect on the 15th of September when we get to experience Cheryl? I can't wait. I'm so excited.
For whatever time I am given, I believe it's 90 minutes to give you all the tools that you need to create the framework for at least the skill sets that you need in order to be a successful public speaker. No matter what you're doing, if you're doing workshops, if you're a podcast host, if you're an author, there are still specific skill sets that we need to have to create the framework so that we can do what I call flying the plane. The plane, an airplane will not aerodynamically fly. It cannot get off the ground without 2 wings. And we're not talking about politics in any way, shape, or form here. But we're talking about a left wing and a right wing. And the left wing is the stagecraft and the storytelling and the ability to command the stage, to seize the spotlight and own the stage. The right wing is the business side. How do I work with bureaus? How do I get a book published? Who should my editor be? I mean, how do I create an entity? Who do I hire to do my taxes? There are a million questions. And without both wings, that airplane is not getting off the ground. You can't have one and not the other. You absolutely have to have a balance of both.
In some cases, it's like, oh yeah, this is easy. You can just go in and get in front of a group of people. But then what happens when you start making money? And I heard one thing that you said earlier that was so key was setting goals for yourself. You said the very first year, I wanted to do 50 and I wanted to do $50,000. And so how do you get into that mindset of really being able to, and again, going back to doing it, improving it, setting those goals that are achievable for you to be able to just get to the next stage without being intimidated or overwhelmed?
That is such a great question, because each and every one of us is at a different stage in our life and a different stage of our career. A number of my coaching clients, I coach speakers who want to take their next big stage, but some of them are still raising babies at home, and they have to be our priority, whether you're a mom or a dad, or, you know, whatever role you play in your family. If you still have small children at home, they need you. And to create a life that you absolutely love without putting your dreams on hold is so important. And so making your goals commensurate with where you are in your life. And so many people say, oh, I wish I could do what you do. Well, my youngest child is 25 years old. So that makes it, and she's married and she has kids of her own. So I mean, I'm very much a catch and release parent. I always have been. I gave them everything I had for 18 years, and then I watched them fly. I'm not in that space of raising children anymore.
Which definitely sets SMART goals. And with acronyms, one of the things that I've learned is the word SMART. It breaks down to specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based.
Yep.
And you said every single one of those and what you just said with your goals. And what I'm hearing, and you guys, I want you guys to listen, because Cheryl is hitting the nail on the head. One of the things you have to do in any type of career, whether it's professional speaking, coaching, consulting, writing a book, have your plan. Have your mindset to what it is that you're looking to do. Make sure that it makes sense with your life. Make sure that you're able to balance it. Don't bite off too much, then you can chew, and just push through. Push past the adversities, because we're all going to have things that we're going to have to deal with in life. All of these things are distractions, and these are things that throw us off our tracks. But what's even harder is to be able to pick yourself back up and put yourself back on that track and gradually gain the momentum. And it seems that you have definitely gained the momentum by now. And it's something that I love hearing about, because if you can give our audience one tidbit of advice for any newcomers, what would that one piece of advice be?
The people that I look up to the most and admire the most in this industry know who they are. They know their message. They own their story. They own their life. And they're not trying to speak on everything. And the industry is going for deep knowledge. Figure out what you love to speak on, what you would speak on if you were not being paid on for it at all, because you love it and you're passionate about it and you have deep knowledge and expertise in that arena. And just dive deeply into that and get even more knowledgeable and dive deeper and speak more on it, and just fly with one area of expertise.
To me, that whole entire thing that you just said sounded power packed.
It is.
Even though it's just one single focus, it allows you to be able to be good at that one thing and not spread yourself thin and do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I actually really appreciate you saying that, because one other thing that I've noticed is, and going back to what we were talking about when you said, just raise your hand, get involved and start doing things. I started going through the archives of the videos for the National Speakers Association, and there were reoccurring names that I was just seeing over and over again. And I'm like, wow, you know, these are people that are super passionate, are super knowledgeable, very experienced, and highly motivated. And these are the people that I want to surround myself with. And I really encourage any of the members who are looking to expand themselves, don't be afraid. Just like Cheryl, raise your hand, step up, push through it, and come to your very first meeting and just start getting to know people and start building that path to your dreams. And I think that you'll eventually be able to get there just as long as you're able to put your mind to it. I want to know, who are a few of your role models?
Michelle Villalobos. I love her forever and ever. She has been my coach for 3 years or a little more than 3 years. And she's coming to our chapter to speak next week. And I'm so excited about that and to have her shine her light and to bless more lives like she has blessed mine. In my own chapter, Jason Hewlett. Jason Hewlett is one of the most phenomenal human beings I've ever met in my life. And he walks the talk. He is a Hall of Fame speaker. He's written a book, The Promise to the One, and he's just released within the last couple of days a brand new YouTube channel specifically geared at helping speakers. And so to learn from his brilliance, who would not want to learn from him? And he is the absolute embodiment of aligned authenticity and living your values. And he's just an incredible human. And I met him because of my service in this chapter. And I never would have developed the friendship that I have with him and so many other incredible people. I met Eric Aroka, your current president, because he spoke at my chapter at a Get Paid to Speak event. And now he's my image consultant. And I love him so much. He helps me take every stage with confidence. Who doesn't want that? So, some of my dearest friends in the world are members of NSA, and I wouldn't trade that family for anything.
Well, that definitely is inspiring. And I want to know, what's the future hold for Cheryl? Just kind of give me a little sneak peek.
Oh my gosh. So this last weekend, I launched my first performance academy. It was a live 3-day event allowing new and aspiring speakers and even experienced speakers to walk away with finished footage, or they get stage time. And so we spend 9 weeks ahead of time helping them craft, hone, and cultivate their message so that they can get up and walk away with a 3-camera shoot and have a sizzle reel ready to plug and play. That was done for me many years ago, and it really helped me to get started. And I wanted to create that experience for others, especially now that I've done it multiple times. And it was magical. And so we will do that every year. We've already signed up several people for our next one. I'm like, oh my gosh. And working on building out a retreat model to help a speaker at any level of their career to figure out walk in without a keynote and walk out with one. How to craft and hone and create a keynote. The next quarterly retreat will be on storytelling and learning to create a signature story. What are the key elements? What are the layers? What needs to happen? And getting it up on its feet again and again and again throughout the weekend as it evolves in your own heart, in your own brain, and watching it come to life.
Again, through the journey, through the experience, you have been lucky enough to go through it and be able to share some of your insight with us. As we wrap up this episode of Storytellers, I extend my sincere thanks to Cheryl Knowlton for her enlightened insights and vibrant energy. Remember, Cheryl's message of empowerment and embracing life's magic resonates. Keep igniting your brilliance. Until next time, keep the magic alive.